Hello everyone and welcome to another Factorio 2.0 expansion video. Today we are going to cover all of the features we know so far coming in the expansion. Now I did a video like this, I think in January it was, and since then we've had a ton of new information dropped. Obviously a Friday Facts every single week with some sort of feature or information in each one. So there's a ton to go over. This is like a lot more stuff than I thought when I was compiling it all. And based on the number of slides I created, it's a lot. So we're just doing it in PowerPoint here. I know maybe like a little old school, but this was just the best way I could think of to display this information since we can't actually view it in game yet. But we're just going to start out here. So we have two sections after this slide. We have all big new features that are just like brand new things that are not really in the game at all yet. And then the second section of the presentation in this video, we're going to be quality of life features, which don't drop out before those, because there's some really great stuff in there. They are just not like big like banger like brand new stuff we've never seen before type of stuff. They're like improvements on what currently exists, but there's some really good improvements. So we're just gonna hop right in. So if you didn't know, it releases October 21st. This was just announced like 2 weeks ago as of this video. October 21st of this year, 2.0 expansion comes out. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move forward. I've just taken some screenshots. I know they're like kind of, some of them may be like a little little like sloppy, but I just wanted to throw like some sort of graphics in here without pouring a ton of time, because it did take a while to compile this already. But let's go ahead and hop in. So first thing, this is in chronological order of the Friday Facts when they came out. Hopefully I got everything. There were like almost 50 to go through, so I may have missed some stuff, but I hope I got the main stuff. So we're gonna run through here. I'm not necessarily gonna read every single one, but the big ticket ones. So the main theme of the actual like DLC part is the space platforms and interplanetary logistics, right? There's 4 additional planets in addition to the current one that's in the game, with unique themes and resources, right? So in total, we'll have 5 planets if we count Novice, the main planet. New space science generation mechanics, so you'll basically be able to generate space science on the planet as you normally do, but in very small quantities. It won't be very efficient. The main generation for it will actually be on space platforms, which kind of makes sense. That was one of the first Friday Facts. And again, if you want to like see any of this in-depth info, the number for the Friday Facts is right there. And then you travel between planets with space platforms. Obviously, they rebalance the tech tree. New planets, I mean, that's kind of the same as this, but they overhaul game mechanics in several different areas of the game. Research productivity enhancement, which is fantastic. Basically, it allows you to research like permanent productivity bonuses for specific recipes. So like rocket control unit, steel, low density structures, or just to name a few, where when you do this research, it will just automatically make those crafting recipes have like an inherent productivity to them, which is fantastic. Recycling machines, where you can basically input stuff and then recycle it and get like the pieces that went into it out. You'll obviously lose some, there's some loss there, but that is possible. A huge thing is the quality system. So basically items, entities, and equipment have 5 possible qualities, where each quality going up gives additional bonuses. So, and I know these names are like not great. I think generally the community agrees these names are not super fitting for Factorio, but the qualities are basically just normal, which is normal, and then uncommon, rare, I think epic or something, and then legendary. So I don't know if epic might be it, but yeah. So they're color coded, but then like each level you go up, it gives more bonuses. So like machines have faster craft speed, and modules give better bonuses, inserters move faster. Like pretty much everything gets a bonus in some way. There are some things like walls and currently trains and stuff where they just get a health bonus, not really anything in addition to that, which is unfortunate. But some stuff, it doesn't really make sense. I think power poles, it may give them more reach. I don't remember it exactly, but I think all the information for this is on the wiki, where you can like, there's a full list of like what everything benefits, so you can definitely check that out. Elevated rail system, which is another massive thing, where we will now have ramp supports, like basically 2 layers of rails you can do, the ones on the ground, and then a level above that, so you can have bridges, you can have ramps, and the junctions can get absolutely crazy. I'll show you a picture here in a second. I know it's formatting error here. Platforms already mentioned, asteroid collection, so there's going to be, of course, asteroids and stuff in space, and you can actually like blow those up and collect resources from them, which is pretty cool. And then you have the movable space platform with thrusters, which we kind of saw in the first slide, but here's so if we go back, this is like what it looks like. These thrusters look absolutely amazing. But if we go forward, just some pictures. Again, I know this is like a little hacked together, but basically this is what the rails look like. So you can do these like crazy pass over junction systems with these overhead rails. So here's an example of the productivity. So like when you research this, rock control units just will automatically get 10% inherent productivity when they craft. And then this is like an example, the recycling machine, and this is the quality modules, which is how you get quality, which is indicated by these additional like little pips here. And then so you can see they're inputting circuits and then getting iron plate and cable out, right? So now we'll move on to the next one. Again, I'm not going to read every single one as we go through these. A lot of the big ticket items are on that first one, but you can just kind of read through these. So to mention a few, so there's, yeah, like asteroid collectors, which are like cool arms that like shoot out and grab stuff. There's a picture of that somewhere in here. And then a huge one is the first new planet we were given. I don't know if this is actually the closest to Novice, like the first one you can get to or not. But the first one we were revealed was Volcanus, a new volcanic planet with unique terrain and resources. So there's going to be lava, which can be used as a resource and as an obstacle. It provides iron, copper, and stone that you can harvest out of the lava. There will be sulfuric acid geysers, calcite deposits, which is a new resource, as well as tungsten ore, which is also a new resource. And then the new Foundry building, which is basically like a smelter on steroids. Like, this thing is absolutely crazy. We'll have a picture and I'll explain a little more about it. And then also a big mining drill, which is just like an amped up mining drill in multiple different ways, which we'll discuss. But primarily it was introduced to mine tungsten. It's, you cannot actually mine tungsten with normal drills, I don't believe. So there's this, but you can like take these buildings to other planets and use them there, which is awesome. And then schedule interrupts for dynamic train routing based on conditions like fuel levels. This I consider putting under quality of life, but honestly, it's such a huge thing. I think it is a brand new feature, basically, where you can, you can put in an interrupt condition and be like, when fuel in this train gets below X amount, then it will automatically like route it to a fuel station on its own rather than having to do it kind of manually how we do it now. So this is fantastic, and there's obviously more than just fuel you can do with this, but that's just an easy example. Parameterized blueprints for configurable setups. This is kind of hard to explain. I would recommend you check out this Friday Facts, but basically it allows you to have these like set parameters within blueprints for like different conditions and stuff. Again, it's very hard for me to just explain without like reading the Friday Facts, but it basically allows you to do much more like customize and replicatable blueprints with like very specific setups and conditions, which is super nice. So if we look over here, so here's Volcanus. This is the Foundry. So it takes in liquids, right? So it takes in either lava or it can take in liquid iron and liquid copper, which are things you can get or turn into liquid, I guess. It takes in or spits out liquid. So yeah, you can do this, and basically it's super fast. It has an inherent, I believe, 50% productivity bonus just by using it. Like anything in there is 50% productivity. It also has more module slots, right? So this thing can be crazy, and it can also, it's not just like iron and copper can do. It can do like, I think it can maybe do gears, and then it can also do copper cable, and I think low density structures as well, which is super cool. This is the big mining drill. I know it doesn't look super great in this screenshot, but if you check out the Friday Facts that this was in, you can get a much better idea. And this is huge. This is like, I think this is like 7x7 or something, and it mines way faster. It has module slots, and this is a feature we'll get to in a future slide, but it also automatically stacks belts. So spoiler alert, there will be item stacking on belts in the expansion, and the drill automatically outputs in stacks if you've like researched the stacks, right? Whereas normal mining drills won't do that. And then these are the asteroid harvesters, these grabby arms. They're super cool. If you see them in action, I definitely recommend checking out the Friday Facts for that or my video on it. They're really, really neat. Okay, so next set of slides, there's a new faster belt tier. So it's like green belt, which is above blue belt, and I believe it's 60 items a second, which is super fast. It also obviously has longer underground reach and item stacking on belts. Item stacking can happen on any belts, not just this belt. But if you combine the increased speed, the 60 per second throughput plus item stacking, which I believe can go up to 5 or 4, I think. I think items can stack up to like stacks of 4, right? So this would be 240 items a second, which is crazy. So that would per minute. My brain is not quite working. It's like several thousand. But yeah, so this is super cool. Now, how do items stack on belts? Basically, well, the big mining drill will output directly in stacks, and then also there's a new inserter, which I did mention somewhere. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't. Maybe not here. But there's a new inserter. So basically, they changed a few things around. So there's the stack inserter we have now in 1.0 in the current game we're playing is called the stack inserter. But in 2.0, they've renamed that inserter to be bulk inserter, and then they've added a new inserter that will take the name stack inserter, and that will actually be how you get stacks on belts. You have to use that inserter to basically initiate stacking, to like get things stacked and unstack, I believe. So that's how that's going to work. Basically an in-game like wiki encyclopedia feature, which is awesome. Another new planet, so Fulger, which is like a lightning stormy planet. It's pretty crazy. It has lightning storms, scrap resources, so it doesn't actually have like natural like ore spawns. It does have this like tar stuff, I believe, where you can get oil from. But other than that, it's actually just like resource nodes of scrap, and you harvest them through a recycler to like get a percent chance of getting a bunch of different stuff, as well as a unique resource, holmium, which is super important. It's apparently really, really rare and used for well, multiple different things, likely in the science pack from that planet, as well as in making the new building from this planet, which we'll go into. But also, I didn't mention, but every planet gets a new science pack, so there's a new science pack with Volcanus as well. And then we did that. So the new electromagnetic plant for advanced crafting. So this is like the foundry of this planet. Every planet has a new building as well. So this one is, I would say, arguably even more powerful than the foundry. Like, this is actually super crazy. It can craft all circuits. And again, it also has an inherent 50% productivity bonus and more module slots, I believe, than a normal assembler, and it's faster. But it has a 50% productivity bonus, and it can craft all circuits, and also it can craft modules. So up until this point in Factorio's history, we have never been able to have a productivity bonus on modules, right? Because productivity only works with intermediate products. And that will be still, I believe, the case in 2.0, with the exception of the fact that, like you can't, I don't think you can productivity, like you can't put productivity modules in the EM plant if it's crafting modules, I think. But the inherent 50% bonus just applies to anything it's crafting, right? So this is almost like a bypass. You can get 50% productivity on module crafting, which is insane. Like, I tested this out I did a 2.0 like simulation playthrough with Colonel Will, which, if you don't know him, he's a streamer. He's been playing a very long time, same as myself. But we did a simulation test playthrough with like mods to try to emulate 2.0. And we did emulate the EM plant, and this is absolutely insane when you actually play with it, getting 50% productivity on all of your module crafting and the circuits that go into those modules. So this is incredibly powerful. We're also getting new music and sounds, which are just, they sound phenomenal. And then beacons were changed as well, so they're going to have more of a diminishing returns effects for like to try to encourage you to do diverse layouts. I'm not completely sold on this, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I just don't know how much it will actually impact things. But yeah, beacons were reworked to hopefully be a little less kind of monotonous and mundane. And then they aren't affected by quality as well. So like higher quality beacons are better. And then rocket turret, so a new turret we get with long range and multi-type rocket support, which is absolutely fantastic. This is, I think, primarily they introduced it for space platforms, but it will be usable on like planets and such. Rocket target priorities and filtering, which is massive. Again, this maybe could be quality of life, but I put it here because it's so huge. So you can set in 2.0 priorities on turrets and be like prioritize large spitters and then like prioritize this next and then this next. So you can actually very specifically tell it which things you want it to shoot first, which is amazing. And then filtering, which is, I think, kind of the same thing. This is just two ways to say the same thing, I believe. But then also can be controllable by the circuit network. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure they mentioned that as well. And then this I already mentioned. I don't know why that's on here. There was so much information to put in here. I did make a couple of mistakes here and there with like double posting stuff. But then if we go, so this is Fulger, the planet. This is the EM plant here. You can see we're making red circuits out of it. And this is the scrap recycling. So basically you mine the scrap, but then you have to actually put it through a recycler to get stuff. And it's going to be like spaghetti base crazy here because here's your information. So this is like the percent chance of like getting all this. And this, I believe, adds up to 100 or close. It seems like this is not actually 100, but because I think there's actually a chance to get nothing from it. Yeah, this is definitely not 100%. It's like maybe like 50%. I don't know. But yeah, so this is like the chance you're just going to get all kind of stuff out of this, but that's how this is going to work. Here is the rocket turrets in action, one on the space platform and then one here. A little interesting caveat. This is actually the head of the Spidertron, if you didn't notice this already. So basically they're like one and the same, right? So the rocket turret is the head of a Spidertron, or you can think of it the other way, where a Spidertron is basically a rocket turret slapped together with 8 legs or like 2 exoskeletons and then a fish stuck inside for the brain, I guess, which is pretty hilarious. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. And then I think there's the last slide of the new content. Like I said, there's a ton of stuff here. And then what we got introduced, the latest plan we got introduced to, so this would be the third new one, is Gleba, where it's a very biological planet with like unique flora and fauna. It has dynamic ecosystems with alien landscapes inspired by lichen, fungi, and algae. There's an agriculture tower for automated harvesting and replanting. So this is going to be kind of like farming, like actual, like I want to say like fruits. I mean, they look like fruits, but yeah, it's going to be like farming basically and replanting. A biochamber for processing plant fruits. Okay, so well, they say fruits into industrial products. Now, the huge thing, which I think is fairly controversial right now, is a spoilage mechanic for managing biological products. So basically, everything here is going to have spoilage, where if you like don't use it fast enough, it like ticks down, and like its effectiveness decreases like as it spoils, and then it gets to a point where it just completely spoils and it's like unusable. So this is going to be really interesting because you can't just like, you won't be able to just buffer stuff here because otherwise it will just all spoil and be useless. So you have to like really use it kind of as quickly and efficiently as you can before it spoils. And this includes a science pack from this planet as well. So it's going to be really interesting how this actually ends up working. The other huge thing, this is something I'm extremely excited about, is we have a complete rewrite of the fluid system for not only better performance, but way more predictable and intuitive. Again, this is a little hard to just explain without showing the Friday facts here, but this is it, and you can watch my video on it where I go in depth. Essentially, like, they've gotten rid of, like, sloshing back and forth, and all the stuff we have now where, like, if you try to do, like, a T split with fluids, it's like not intuitive how it works. It like goes all over the place randomly. That's being like, that's no longer going to be a thing. When you do a split, it's going to go 50-50. It's just going to make a lot more sense. It does take like a little bit of, it makes it like super simplistic, which I know some people dislike. Personally, I'm just thrilled for this because I've dealt with the fluid system for like 9 years now, and it's driving me insane at this point. So I'm really happy about this. So this is kind of what I just said. Display panel for displaying notes, icons, etc. So this is super cool. Connectable to circuit network. The one, like, this is the latest Friday facts we just got this week before this video, number 420, is fusion power. So we have a new power source as well, which is going to be fusion power. It utilizes plasma basically, and coolant, and can generate massive amounts of power. It's just like a way upgraded version of nuclear. And this one likely you get on the last planet, which brings us to this. There is a fourth new planet, which we have no information on at all, except for, I believe, a name which has just been kind of derived from like little leaks here and there, which I think will be Aquilo, if I'm pronouncing that right. But the guesses are it's like an ice planet. It's farthest from the sun, so that just kind of would inherently make sense. And then the most unique mechanics, post late game science pack. So this is stuff that's been said by the devs these last two bits, where the last planet, they specifically said it will have like extremely unique mechanics, more so than any of these other planets. And likely there's a post game, like a post late game science pack, like just after you unlock everything, there's another science pack probably after the science pack from this planet, which who knows what you can do with that. But that's all the information we have on this planet at this point. But yeah, that will be really interesting to get to. And then here we go. So here is Gleba. These are the biochem plants you can see. So we're processing this stuff. And these little white lines here are like how spoiled it is. You can even see on the science packs. So like if you put something that's partly spoiled, like a science pack, into a lab, it's going to not contribute as much science, like progress. So that's pretty interesting. Here is like the harvester for harvesting the plants. And then here is the fusion power, which looks super cool. So you input like plasma fuel cells and coolant, it consumes that, and then it actually goes into these like fusion generators, which you connect, and these do get neighbor bonuses as well, just like nuclear does. So this can generate huge amounts of power. And then we're going to move on to quality of life. Now, this is already a fairly long video, so I'm going to like kind of skip over a lot of this, but you can pause the video on each one if you want to read these. But, you know, just to name a few, better robot behavior, I'm super excited about. Just way smarter robot handling and task assignment. Improved train system stuff, better blueprint building. The research queue is always on. Thank God. I've complained about this like ever since they introduced it, but that it was not always on. You know, improved rail system, so we get S-bins and half diagonal rail pieces. This is just for like, well, this can be used I think on ground rails and elevator rails, I believe. Increased big electric pole range to 32 tiles, which is awesome. That's a whole chunk, basically. Rail planner improvements. Instant remote rotation of entities, remote entity out opening, which is fantastic. All this new ability to do things remotely. Remote deconstruction with mining action. Rocket Silo connect to logistic network, acting as a requester chest, which is super important, obviously, for the transporting stuff to space platforms. Automatic item request from local logistic network for platform construction. And then I meant to mention this at the beginning. I've mentioned it pretty consistently, but I will mention it again. Basically with 2.0, when it comes out, so there is just the 2.0 update, which is going to provide a bunch of features for all users who already own the game for free, right? So like all of these quality of life features basically are going to be given, like it's just like going to be like a normal patch, right? If you have the game, you can upgrade to this patch, to the 2.0 patch, and you will get all these quality of life features. You don't have to pay anything. All of the other things, basically all of the slides prior to this with all those big content items, those are going to be part of the DLC, which you will have to pay for, which will be $35, which I think is an absolute bargain considering how much we're getting. You know, of course, already includes this because you're getting this for free. But just to clarify, like all the quality of life stuff, basically, you will not have to pay for. You will get this if you already own the game. And then all of that other stuff will be in the DLC that you actually purchase. I hope that makes sense. So logistic groups, which is absolutely like one of my top things for QOL, is you can set groups. You can have like a military logistic request group, or like a building request group, or a training request group, where you can just basically like change the group and it will auto set your request to whatever you had pre-configured within that group, which is absolutely fantastic. Super force building mode, which kind of just, it's a little hard to explain, but it just makes blueprints kind of easier to build over like obstacles. You can mine landfill now, which is super cool. Logistic requests are being enabled upon recovering corpse. Thank you so much. I die a lot, so this is super helpful to me. Smart number format for entering mathematical expressions. Max range indicator for underground belt, which is pretty nice. Manual lamp color settings. Uh, Color coded robots on the map. Train step reservation improvements to prevent deadlocks. Quality of life continued, so train groups as well, which is super cool. Basically, like what logistic groups were, but for trains, we can create groups like, I don't know, like copper delivery group or iron pickup group or whatever. And then when you add new trains, you can just add them to the group and they will get all of the things that are like all the schedule stuff that is in that group. So you don't have to manually set it each time. Auto color trains based on destination, which is super cool. Enhanced map generation performance and optimization. An overhaul of the mod manager. A new explore tab for mods, so basically just better searching. All inserters capable of setting filters, so there will not be filter inserters that are removed from the game. Everything can just filter. Blueprint flipping improvements, so this is like fantastic for like oil specifically, because it will actually flip like correctly. This is hard to explain, but if you've played with the current game and you've tried to flip like oil blueprints, it creates a bit of a mess. Disabled train stops will not cause trains to skip stations, but act as if they have a train limit of 0. So this prevents trains from just like stopping in the tracks like mid-travel if a station is turned off. Automatic mode for train blueprints, so that way you can just like place a train, and if you have that checked, it'll just automatically take off once it's built. Train stop priority, which is actually huge. This probably should have gone on like the first slide. I mean, it's chronological, but this is absolutely massive because you can set priorities, so you can like really finely tune and indicate like go to this station first, and then if this one's full, go to this one next, and like so on and so forth, which is just, this is going to be incredible, honestly. So next bit, map search for finding products and buildings, which is super helpful. Pinning locations, enhance alerts, cut tool remembers outside circuit wire connections, which is really nice. Train stop GUI enhancements, copy pasting train stops from the map, which is another nice one. I can't believe we haven't been able to do that. Renaming all train stops at once, like within a group, I believe, is what this means. Manual locomotive push. So this is kind of like a gimmick kind of. So this is like Flintstones thing, if you know what I'm talking about, where like if the train runs out of fuel, you can basically get out, or like if you imagine like sticking your feet out at the bottom and like pushing it along. So this is like just like kind of ridiculous, but it's still a fun little thing. This one though, it's huge. Remote driving trains. You can actually remotely manually drive trains essentially in the map view. Rail planner support in map mode. Spidertron RTS tool for easier selection and control. So RTS tool, I don't know about this name, but basically it will just be enhanced features for the Spidertron remote. There's several mods that do this, but I think you'll be able to like more easily control groups and do like following and all different kind of stuff with this. Pipette functionality extended to recipe slots, logistics slot, inventory slots, and placeable tiles. Thank you so much. This is huge. Whole belt reader mode for reading contents on transport belts. And I think this is the last slide. So pump filters, and obviously controlled by circuit network, new logistic network GUI with better categorization and visualization. Accumulator charge levels in the power management menu, which is nice. Science graph showing total final science produced. So this will actually take into account like research productivity and productivity modules in labs and stuff, because there will actually be like a research productivity research. I know that's a lot. But basically, we're like, if you research it, each level will, it's kind of like the item one that I went over, where like each level will inherently give like X% productivity to all research, even if there's no productivity modules in the labs. Per service production stats, which is kind of, required, I think, for different planets, but this is really nice. Quality graph, again, for kind of, it'll separate out like the quality items, because it can get really crazy when you're doing production of all different qualities. Circuit connection for turrets to enable and disable them, set target priorities, and read ammunition, which is huge, actually. Redo functionality added for reversing undo actions. Undo redo previews and confirmation dialogues, which is super nice. Car latency driving, insert pickup from belt fixes. So the inserter, this is meant to say, so right now, basically, I'm pretty sure almost all of you have experienced this, like burner inserters cannot pick up from blue belts, and I think even normal inserters might struggle from it, but like basically if the belt's too fast, slow inserters can't pick up from it. This has been fixed, so basically all inserters can pick up from all belts. But in addition, it's kind of actually a small buff the way they changed it, because they actually like reduce the animation time or the actual extend time of the hand. So this does very slightly make inserters faster when picking up from belts. I think it's a very minimal amount, but it is still a buff nonetheless. And that is it. So this was super long, 30 minutes, but there was a lot to go over. Thank you and congratulations if you stayed until this last bit. Way longer than the first video of this I did, but there's so much, and there's still October 21st, so there's still over 2.5 months, almost 3 months, because we're not even done with July. There's almost 3 months still of Friday Facts to reveal stuff and features to be revealed. So even with all of this, there's still more stuff we haven't been shown. I can confidently say that the expansion has more content than the current vanilla game. Like, some people may disagree with me, but I truly think that's the case. There's going to be so much, like, replayability and gameplay to be had from the expansion. It's going to be absolutely crazy. But yeah, if I miss anything huge, let me know. I know there's like a couple small things I missed that I just didn't really bother mentioning because they were so small. But if there's anything like massive that I missed, definitely let me know down in the comments. And as always, leave your thoughts. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of this stuff. What you're most excited about, what you're not, what else you think will be revealed. Anything. I love reading all your thoughts. If you did enjoy, a like is greatly appreciated. And if you are new and haven't subscribed already, definitely consider doing so to keep up with all future content from here on out. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.